Welcome back to In History. In the annals of history, the Moors stand out as one of the most fascinating and influential groups in both Europe and Africa. For centuries, they ruled over vast territories in the Iberian Peninsula and shaped the course of history in the Mediterranean. But who were the Moors? Where did they come from, and how did they rise to such power? In this video, we'll explore the origins of the Moors, tracing their history from North Africa to their pivotal role in Europe. The term Moor has been used in various contexts throughout history, often referring to Muslim inhabitants of North Africa, the Iberian Peninsula, and even parts of Sicily. But it's important to understand that Moor wasn't an ethnic label. It was more of a broad descriptor used by Europeans for the Muslim populations they encountered. In the early Middle Ages, most Moors were a mix of Berbers, indigenous North African peoples, and Arabs who had spread Islam across the region following the religion's explosive growth after the death of the Prophet Muhammad in 632 CE. So, in essence, the Moors were a diverse group, united by Islam, but made up of various cultures and ethnicities. The Berbers, who are native to the Maghreb, modern-day Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya, played a significant role in the rise of the Moors. When Islam spread into North Africa in the 7th century, many Berber tribes adopted the new faith while maintaining their own distinct language and culture. Combined with Arab influence, they would go on to shape the rich, multifaceted society that would dominate parts of Europe. To understand the origins of the Moors, we need to look at the spread of Islam across North Africa. After the death of Muhammad, the early Islamic caliphates expanded rapidly. By the mid-7th century, Arab armies had conquered much of North Africa, bringing Islam to the Berber tribes. One of the key turning points came in 670 CE, when the city of Kairouan was founded in modern-day Tunisia. It became one of the most important Islamic centers in North Africa, and from there, Islam spread westward into what is now Morocco. The Berber tribes were instrumental in the Islamic conquests. One of the most notable Berber leaders was Tariq ibn Ziyad, who would play a crucial role in the Moorish conquest of Spain. But before we get to that, let's talk about how these conquests influenced the rise of the Moors. The unification of Berbers and Arabs under the banner of Islam created a powerful force that would change the course of European history. By the early 8th century, their focus shifted from North Africa to the Iberian Peninsula, setting the stage for a monumental chapter in Moorish history. In 711 CE, the Moors made their most famous move, the invasion of the Iberian Peninsula. Led by the Berber general Tariq ibn Ziyad, a Muslim army crossed the Strait of Gibraltar and defeated the Visigothic king Roderick at the Battle of Guadalete. This marked the beginning of almost 800 years of Moorish influence in what would come to be known as Al-Andalus. Within a few short years, the Moors had conquered most of the Iberian Peninsula. Cities like Cordoba, Seville, and Toledo became centers of Moorish power. But it wasn't just military might that defined the Moors. What truly set them apart was their cultural and intellectual achievements. Under the Moors, cities like Cordoba flourished, becoming centers of learning, science, and culture. At its height, Cordoba was one of the largest and most advanced cities in Europe, home to scholars of all backgrounds, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, who made groundbreaking contributions to fields like medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. The Moors not only transformed the Iberian Peninsula militarily, but culturally as well. They brought with them advanced knowledge of architecture, agriculture, and science. Moorish Spain was known for its religious tolerance, where Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived side by side, sharing knowledge and ideas. Moorish architecture, like the Great Mosque of Cordoba and the Alhambra in Granada, reflected the blending of Islamic art with local traditions, creating stunning structures that stand to this day. In agriculture, the Moors introduced new irrigation techniques, crops like rice, and advanced methods of cultivation, which revolutionized farming in Iberia. But the Moorish Golden Age wouldn't last forever. By the 11th century, internal divisions began to weaken the Moorish states. The unity of Al-Andalus fractured into smaller competing kingdoms known as the Taifas. At the same time, Christian kingdoms in the north, like Castile, Aragon and Leon, began to push back in a campaign that would become known as the Reconquista. One of the key turning points was the Battle of Las Navas de Tolosa in 1212, where Christian forces dealt a major blow to the Almohad Caliphate. From there, the Moorish presence in Iberia slowly eroded, culminating in the fall of Granada in 1492, the last Muslim stronghold in Spain. The fall of Granada in 1492 marked the end of nearly 8 centuries of Moorish rule in Iberia. The Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, completed the Reconquista, and soon after began the expulsion of Muslims and Jews from Spain. But even in their decline, the Moors left a lasting legacy that shaped the cultural and scientific development of Europe. Though the Moors lost political power in Spain, their legacy endures to this day. From the architecture of southern Spain to the rich intellectual traditions they fostered, the Moors left an indelible mark on European history. The cultural fusion of Muslim, Christian and Jewish scholars in medieval Spain laid the foundations for the European Renaissance, as knowledge passed through Moorish Spain into the rest of Europe. Today, when we look at the arches of the Alhambra, the streets of Seville, or even modern medical and astronomical texts, we see the influence of the Moors. Their story is one of conquest and coexistence, of flourishing culture and inevitable decline. But above all, the story of the Moors is a reminder of how deeply interconnected the histories of Europe and North Africa truly are. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge. See you next time on In History.